Steve Jobs was born on February 24th, 1955, in San Francisco, California. Immediately after he was born, he was adopted by Clara and Paul Jobs and was named Stephen Paul Jobs. As a child, he worked with his father, Paul Jobs, in the garage on projects such as taking apart and putting together electronics. These projects with his dad influenced his desire to become an engineer later in the future. Jobs didn't like school so much that he had to be bribed to study. In high school, he picked up a summer job working for the computer company HP, which gave him the opportunity to work with computers for the first time. After high school, he went to Reed College and dropped out after only 6 months. Even without the greatest college education, Jobs had used his intelligence he learned about technology for the best. Jobs has had many impacts on American history, such as helping found Apple Computer Inc., helping boost Pixar to the company we know today, and founded the modern Apple Inc. These companies have helped entertain humans since they released, and have boosted communications all around the world. When Steve Jobs was 21, he and Steve Wozniak, a man from Cal Berkeley that Jobs met through the HP program, started the Apple company in Steve's garage. Wozniak created the computers while Jobs was in charge of marketing them. The first model of the Apple computer was sold for $666 and earned Apple $740,000. When the second was released, the Apple sales went up to $139 million. The highest workers of Apple Computer Inc. believed that Jobs was hurting the company and lowered his rank until he quit in 1985. When he left, he bought an animation company from George Lucas that turned into Pixar, a company we all know and love. He had invested $50 million into the animation company and was the largest shareholder of Disney when Disney and Pixar merged in 2006. Jobs left Pixar and returned to Apple as the CEO in 1997. Jobs was so towards growing Apple that he put his salary at $1 a year. Steve Jobs used his marketing to induce buyers once again. Jobs was so good at marketing and design, especially in items such as the iMac and iPod, that other companies started to follow his footsteps and make items very similar to these products that Jobs had created at Apple Inc. Steve Jobs later said in an interview that without passion, work isn't work. This goes against his schooling mindset. We had no passion for it besides engineering and doing what he liked.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion.
Steve Jobs belongs in the A-Push Hall of Fame because without the creation of Apple, we wouldn't have all of the technology and communications that we have today. Many companies followed after what Jobs had done with the creation of iMac and iPod. Without Steve Jobs, who knows if we would have modern-day computers or modern-day phones. Communication and entertainment was boosted extremely with the help of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs has overcome many challenges and obstacles throughout his career, such as getting his rank lowered at his own company and failures in manufacturing. Steve Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor in 2003 and sadly passed away in 2011 due to a tumor respiratory arrest.
When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart.